our notation in the decimal system. But 19 actually, as a number, can be two things. It can either be a certain quantity, 19 pebbles you found on a walk, or it can be an expression of order. That means you have taken something in an ordered arrangement by size from smallest to largest, and something is 19th. So any number has two facets. One is that it is a certain quantity, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as you can see. And as a quantity, the character of the number is called cardinal number. And here you can see that these can either be divided into smaller numbers of equal size or not. The ones that can be divided are called composite numbers. They're composed of other smaller numbers. The ones that cannot be divided into smaller numbers except by one or itself are called prime numbers. So you can see that 2 can only be divided into two ones. So it's only divisible by one or itself. So I'll put here primes. 2 is the first prime. 3 can only be divided into ones. It is the second prime. You can see that the number 4 can be divided into two twos. So that is the first composite. 5 can only be divided by ones or by itself. So that is the third prime number. 6 can be divided into two threes, or like this, or three twos like this. So that is the second composite, and so on. Now here, because here we express order, this aspect of the number is ordinal. Because it comes from expressing order. And these two facets are present in each number simultaneously. It only depends whether you look at the number from this side or this side. Both are inseparable facets of the same number. Most of the time in our daily life, and also when we learn at school, we actually are used to look at numbers primarily in their cardinal character. You know, you spend several years as children at school learning to divide numbers, and or do the reverse, learning to multiply numbers. That means from smaller numbers create larger numbers. Now there is another way of looking at numbers, and basically dividing numbers isn't anything else than looking at this number and saying, I want to know how that number is constructed inside. And so when you take the number 6, you will see it's either 3 times 2 or 2 times 3. If it's 3 times 2, you have 3 piles of 2 pebbles each. And if it's 2 times 3, you have 2 piles of 3 pebbles each. So, dividing numbers isn't really anything else than partitioning numbers into smaller numbers, all of which are equal in size. Now there's another way of constructing numbers, and that is that we take the number in its respective distribution, whether it's a prime or composite, and say what happens when I add the cardinal number with the ordinal number associated with it. That means its rank. And its rank is associated with this particular number now and forever. Because no matter how many times you separate prime numbers and composite numbers and order them in size, 2 will always be the first prime number. Million years ago, here in the next galaxy, in Moscow, doesn't matter when and where, it's always going to be. 6 is always going to be the second composite number. So the cardinal number in that distribution and its ordinal number are always inseparably connected. So you can say, what happens when I add them up? Well, here I will have 3. Here I will have 5. Here I will have 5. Here I will have 8. Here I will have 8. So, right here you can see that the number 5 can be actually this approach we call positional partitioning, because it is partitioning a number with the interest saying, I want to see how this number was constructed, but with respect to a cardinal number and an associated ordinal number. You can see that 5 can either be seen as a cardinal number 4 plus its ordinal number 1. That means the first composite 4 plus its rank 1 is 5, or the cardinal number 3 plus the ordinal number 2. That means the second prime number 3 plus its rank 2 also add 5 to 5. You can see the same thing, that the third prime number 5 plus its rank 3 add up to 8, and the composite number 6 plus its rank 2 also add up to 8. Now this is just one way of constructing numbers from the positionally partitionable way. You could also have the difference between a prime number or a composite number and its rank. You can then have also the sum or difference between prime number and composite number of the same rank. Because 2 is always the first prime number and 4 is always the first composite number, they are always associated with the same ordinal number, denoting their rank in the distribution of primes or composites. That means 1. So all of these numbers are always linked in an ordinal fashion in only one way. The trick about ordinality, or the ordinal character of a number, is that there are very easy mathematical methods to take any number and find out if it's divisible into smaller numbers. even if the number is very big, we may never be able to find out into what numbers it's divisible, but we will be able to find out, is it divisible or not? That means, is it a composite number or is it a prime? Because there are mathematical methods for that. There is no mathematical method to match a number with its rank in its given distribution. That means there is no mathematical method to say, I have the number 100, I want to know what is its rank in the distribution of composites. You have to list all the composite numbers from 4 up to 100, count them and say, aha, 100 is 74th. And there is no mathematical method to match a rank with a number, and you say, I would like to know what is the 100th prime. You have to calculate what are the first 100 primes, list them, and say, aha, the 100 primes is this. So, the matching a number and its ordinal rank cannot be done mathematically. It can only be done that we do all the previous numbers and look them up. Secondly, when I look at the number and I want to know, is it divisible, yes or no? As I said, there are mathematical methods. Usually they're pretty easy, but even for very large numbers, the methods are there to say, yes, it's divisible or it's not divisible. There is no mathematical method to look even at a very small number and be able to say, is it positionally partitionable or is it not positionally partitionable? You have to construct all numbers in all the positionally partitionable ways up to the size of your numbers, list the results in tables and look for your number in all of the tables if it's there or it is not there. And if you find it there, it's positionally partitionable. If you don't find it there, it is not. Therefore, it is computationally a much more demanding, much more intensive operation. To give you a comparison, I have been interested only in very small, mathematically speaking, numbers, and my tables of positional partitionability of numbers are constructed only to the number 10,500, because for looking at Quranic numbers, there's no reason for me to have higher tables. For the computer to generate, and I don't remember exactly how many tables it is, but it's mathematically rigid way you can only construct numbers positionally certain number of ways. You cannot construct it fewer ways or more ways. It's mathematical. The rule is rigid. So, for the computer to construct the tables of positional partitionability up to the number 10,500 took something like 30 minutes. For the same computer to construct a table of prime numbers and composite numbers up to the number of 10,500 takes a lot less than 1 second. So you are talking at least in terms of 1,000 times in terms of complexity and computational intensity. And I'm explaining this to you so that you have an understanding when people say, oh, you know, it would be easy. Somebody, because You can choose from many tables. Somebody can just look at these things in tables and construct it himself. He could not even construct those tables without the aid of a very fast computer. Now let me show you some of the way how this is used in the Quran. You know that the Surah 9 has either 127 ayats, according to one school of thought, or it has then ayats 9128, 9129, according to another school of thought. If you look at the history of the Quran, when they were putting it together, there are a number of hadith that say that Muhammad, when he received the revelation, he would always say these verses that were revealed belong in surah such and such, and they go after this ayah before such and such ayah. And there are number of hadiths that say that for each ayah in the Quran there were at least 2 separate witnesses who knew that ayah. There are a number of hadiths that state that these 2 ayats have been found with only one witness, Huzayma al-Ansari. And there are hadiths that state specifically that when the scribes, when the Quran was being put together, reached ayah 127 of Surah At-Tawbah, they thought their job is finished. But there were people who say, no, no, there's these 2 other ayats. And that these people were pushing for it. They decided that these 2 ayats would be added to Surah At-Tawbah. But had it been 3 ayats, they would have made it a separate surah. So here we have ayats that had only come from one witness, and there was no record that would show that Muhammad said these ayats belong there and there. These people said, we decided to put them here, but we would have made a separate surah had they been. And I'll show you now how in God's system it shows that these 2 ayats are exactly placed where they should be placed in accordance with God's will, and that they placed exactly where the structure makes them stick like a sore thumb to show that they are not from God. 9127 is 1362nd numbered ayah from the beginning of the Quran. That means you start with the first basmala, which is numbered in Surah 1. You count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You don't count bismillah of Surah 2 because it's unnumbered. You start with the first of Surah number 2, that's 8, and so on. 9127 is 1362nd. You can see easily it's a composite number, it's divisible by 2. 1362 is 1143rd composite number. That means if we start counting with 2 as the first composite number, 1362 is 1143rd. At school you all learned anything where we can add up the digit to 9 is going to be divisible by 9. We can see that 2 plus 4 is 6 plus 3 is 9. It's divisible by 9. And it's this. 9 times 127. What does it tell you? It tells you that the structure works in the decimal system, because here what we do is we concatenate the number of the surah to the number of the ayats. But this will give you 9127, but only in decimal system. If we were using binary system, it will give you something else. Here, this confirms 9127, but in a base-independent way. That means it makes no difference if you write this in binary system, octal system, decimal system, because when you have 1143 pebbles, you can always divide them into 9 smaller piles, 127 pebbles each. So God is confirming here in a base-independent system 9127, which here is written in a decimal system. The ayat 9129 is obviously 1364th numbered ayah. Now, with respect to positional partitionability of numbers, 1364 is the difference between 265th prime number, which is 1697, and minus 265th composite number, which is 333, and the difference is 1364. You know that the Quran says over it is 19. We have 19, a verifier and confirming feature, key number of the structure. Surah 19 has 98 ayats. Here we talk the rank of an ayah, 1362nd, 1364th. Well, 1998th numbered ayah in the Quran is 1697 if 9129 is counted. So those who think it should be there say, aha, you see, you have just proved to me that indeed this ayah belongs in the Quran. Additionally, this ayah is Surah 9 is a non-initial surah, and when we count numbered ayats only in non-initial surahs, this is 670th, this is 671st, and this would of course be 672nd. Now if we look at 671, 671 is a composite number. It's 549th composite number. The sum is 1220. When I look in the Quran, 1220th numbered ayah is 860. And when I look at the ayat 671, I will see it's 860th numbered ayah in the Quran. Do you see the similarity? So again, you could say, well, it looks to me like this one is where it should be. In addition, 671 is 11 times 61. That's both are prime numbers, so that's the only one you can factor this number. And it so happens that the number 1161, you can see it adds up to 9, gives you this. Again, you can say, well, you have completely convinced me these two ayats belong there. All this shows is that nothing happens against the will of God, and that these ayahs have been placed where they are exactly so God can expose the fabricators. Can you see it if I put it there? Yeah. So that you can have the numbers in front of you.
It
has a tape?
No, it has a...
Where is it put tape?
So, when I put this here again, 265, 1697 minus 333 is 1364. Now this, from the point of view of positional partitionability, is written prime minus composite of the same rank, give composite, and it's 207th such composite. That means when I take all the primes and all the composites of the same rank always, and deduct the composite from the primes and construct a table of the composites that result, 1364 is 207th. When I deduct this subordinated rank, I get 1157. 1157 is a positionally partitionable number, and it is 1143rd positionally partitionable number. Notice that 1143 is here, and 1143 is 9 times 127. Now, 265 is a composite number, and it is 208th composite number. 208 plus 265 is 473, and 473 is 11 times 43. Do you see the similarity? If I add up 265 and use it as a rank with the composite number that's 265th, I have 333 plus 265, that's 598, and that is a number composite plus rank. Composite plus rank gives composite, and it is 214th such composite. When I add the subordinated rank, I get 812, and 812 is a composite number and is 670th. Note that 9127 is 670th non-initial ion. God says over it is 19. When I got this far in one of my presentations last month, somebody says, you are making me uncomfortable because you use too much the decimal system. Well, it's not quite true, because this is regardless of decimal system. This gives 9127 regardless of decimal system. This doesn't depend on decimal system, but I said be my guest. 19 is the verifier. 19 confirms the structure. Take me this number. We have 333. What does it say in base 19? It says 3 times 19 to the power of 0 plus 3 times 19 to the power of 1 plus 3 times 19 to the power of 2. This is 19 to the power of 2 is 361. 3 times 361 is 1083. 3 times 19 to the power of 1 is 3 times 19, which is 57. You probably remember from school that any number raised to power 0 is always 1. So it's 3 times 1 is 3. 1083 plus 57 is 1140, plus 3 is 1143. Do you see the similarity here and here? It confirms 9127. 19 is the 8th prime number. What happens if I looked at this number as if it was written in the base 8? I will have 3 times 8 to the 0 plus 4 times 8 to the first power plus 1 times 8 to the second power plus 1 times 8 to the third power. 1 times 8 to the third power is 512 plus 1 times 8 to the second power 64 plus 4 times 8 is 32 plus 3 times 1 is 3. I add them all up, I have 611. 611, from the point of view of positional partitionability, is the composite number 340 plus the rank 271. 270 first composite, in other words, is 340, and their sum is 611. 340th numbered ayah in the Quran is this one. Do you see the similarity, the connection? This number is composite plus rank gives composite. It is 219th such composite, and when I add up the subordinated rank, I get 830. I continue here. 830 is a composite number, anyone can see that. It's 684th composite number. When I add the composite number plus its rank, I get 1514. 1514th numbered ayah in the Quran, witnessed by at least 2 persons, that means excluding that and that, is this one. (1514) is the rank of the positionally partitional number 1532. 1532nd numbered ayah in the Quran is this one. Notice the similarity here. In other words, 1161 is 9 times 127. But the catch here is that 1532 confirms we're talking to 9129. But 1161 is 1532nd numbered ayah witnessed by at least 2 persons. That means excluding the 2 fabricated ones. Now I'll put this there so that you can have it again for
Milan, excuse me, if you put it right beside it so I can catch it on the camera. If you put it on the right hand side.
On the right hand side,
so I can catch it on the camera.
Maybe you can then tape it separately by camera additionally.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think they wouldn't be able to see it. I'd be standing right in front of it. And I want to be able to point to it and show.
Okay.
Now when we continue here, we have here 1514. I said 1514th numbered ayah witnessed by at least 2 persons is 1143. we know 1143 is 9 times 127. 1514 is a composite number, and it is 1273rd composite number. 1273rd mention of God is in ayah 9127. Now, 1514 is 1273rd number partitionable into equal parts, divisible. 1273rd number partitionable into positional parts is 1288, and 1288th numbered ayah in the Quran is 953. 1143 is obviously a composite number, and when I start counting with 4 is the first composite number, 1143 is 953rd composite number, and notice here the similarity. 1514th positionally partitionable number, I said, is 1532. 1532nd composite number is 1813. 1813th numbered ayah in the Quran is 1513. And Surah 15 is initial surah, so the counting of the ayats doesn't depend on how many ayats we think are in the Surah 9. 1513 is 1143rd numbered ayah in initial surahs. 1513 is 1272nd composite number. 1272nd numbered ayah in the Quran is 937. Now, first of all, note that 9 times 37 is 333. In other words, 333, our good friend. Secondly, 937 is a prime number. It's 159th prime number. 159th composite number is 206. When we add them up, we get 1143. When I deduct their common rank, note also that in the Surah 15, Ayat 9, it says, indeed, we had revealed this reminder, and indeed, we shall protect it. We shall protect it by a structure that will show what comes from God. When we deduct 159, we get 984. In Surah 98, Ayah 4, it says, clear evidence, al-bayina. Al-bayina, the word bayina, clear evidence, is mentioned in the Quran 19 times. And in 98.4 is the 19th al-bayina mentioned. 984 is 1817th composite number. When we add them up, we have 1801. 1801st numbered ayah is 15.1. And 15.1 is 1131st numbered ayah in initial surahs alone. And 1131st prime number is 9127. The number 151 is 36th prime. They add up to 187. 187th prime number is 1117, and 1131 is 1117th positionally partitionable number, and 187 is 11 times 17. When I take this number out, 817, you know that in the Surah 8, Ayat 17, it says God is doing everything. It's not you who threw, it's God who threw. God gives you a chance to earn credit. So God's doing everything. 817 is the sum of 120th prime, 659, 120th composite 158, and when we add their mutual rank 120, we get 937, and we're back here. Do you see it leads back to 1143? So you can see that the numerical structure, just the numbers goes in loops, and they are either ranks of each other, or they are positional parts of each other, or they are ordinal numbers attached to other numbers that point always in a closed loop, and they will all keep pointing to 9127. Now, 1813th composite number is 2135. When I add them up, I need a calculator because I'm a little bit
behind.
Yes, she's getting.
This
just for that.
This is 4, this is 9, this is 3.
Just for the messenger.
This is a composite number plus rank gives composite number. It is 1575th composite number, such composite number. When we add them up, we get 5523. 5523rd, numbered ayah witnessed by at least 2 persons, is this one, 7430. 7430 says, Alaiha tisata ashara, over it is 19. Now the one number I did not talk in this here is 1697, which appears to point that it's correct to consider this as a valid ayah. Now look what happens. I add 1697 to the verifier where 19 is mentioned. I add them up and I get this result. Do you see? When this number is 1349th such composite, when I take the difference, I get 4174. In the ayah 4174, it says, O people, a proof has now come to you. You have received a guiding beacon. So when God talks about the proof and He chooses to place it in this ayah, and I looked at this number, how is it positionally partitionable? I see it's a composite plus rank, plus subsidiary rank, minus subsidiary rank. This is the number, and I have confirmed here, again, 9127 in many different ways. Look, let me show you this number, 1575, positionally partitionable. 1575 looks as follows. It is the sum of 213th, prime number 1303, 213th composite number 272. They add up to 1575. Sorry, here. When I deduct the mutual rank 213, I get 1362. We know 1362nd numbered ayah is 9127. And this is 9127. 9127 is a prime, I said. And in decimal system, it has the property that if you reverse the order of the digits, it is still a prime. That means 7219 is also a prime number. These are not very many, and it is so-called reversible prime. If you look in the table of reversible primes, you will see that 9127 is 213th reversible prime. See, again, a closed loop, always pointing what is correct and leaving the false one accounted for to show it is accounted accounted for in the structure, but it does not belong in the Quran because it's not from God. It's a fabrication. I have somewhere here talked about 1801. Yes, here. I have shown you that 1143 minus the mutual rank is 984, and 984 plus its rank is 1801. 1801 is 279th. Prime number, 279th composite number is can't remember now.
Can you remember all these numbers?
It's 350. It's 350. Now, when we take the difference, we have 1451. When we deduct the mutual rank 279, we get 1172. 1172nd number in the Quran is 812. Remember, I showed you that 812 is 6/70th composite and 6/70th non-initial numbered I is 9127. It's 231st such composite number. When I deduct it, I have 941, and 9127 is 1131st prime number, and 1131 is 941st composite number. 279th composite number 350 plus its rank 279 gives 629. It's 514th composite number, and they add up to 1143. Again, 9 times 127. When you read Quran and look at the ayah 279, it says, and woe to those who say, who write with their own hands and say, this is what God has sent down. Woe to them for their fabrications, and woe to them for their illicit gains. So it clearly points you that these two are fabrications. Now, 231, 231st numbered ayah in the Quran is this one, 2224. When I see this as a number, 2224 is the sum of 1211 plus its rank 1013. It's 2224, and it's 862nd such composite number. I take the difference, I get 1362, and 1362nd number ayah is again 9127. The ayah 1211 is 1605th numbered ayah. 1605 is 1352nd composite, and 1352nd positionally partitionable number is 1369. When I count the uncounted Bismillahs, 9127 is 1369th ayah in the Quran, including the unnumbered ones. So it's just a very small, tiny sample, because we don't really have time for more. How the structure works. And now I showed you here that 265 is 208's composite number, they add up to 473, and that gives us 1143, which is, and 1143 is 9127. Some people object and say you cannot concatenate. This is arbitrary manipulation of numbers. Now, when I take, I'll have to use a different pen because this one seems to be drying out a little bit. I take 473 and I say 473 is 11 times 43, right? 473rd numbered ayah from the end of the Quran is this one. Is ayat 86. When I read this concatenated as 806, I see 806 is 13 times 62. Now remember, 1362 is 1143rd composite number. So this clearly tells you God is aware that you can concatenate these numbers together. 1362 is a positionally partitionable composite. It's 1129th positionally partitionable composite. 1143 happens to be 1129th positionally partitionable number. 1129 is positionally partitionable as 622 plus its rank 507. 507th ayat in total from the end of the Quran, including the unnumbered basmalas, is this one, 806. So you see, when God says in 72:28 to ascertain that they delivered their Lord's messages, He has wrapped up protectively what they brought, and He counted all things numerically. He counted all things means in cardinal fashion. Numerically means in all bases. That means including the ordinal relationships. And you can see that indeed he has. When he says, let them plot and let them scheme, God is the best schemer, you can see that he makes the fabricators look like fools. Because they thought they're deciding where they put the two verses. You can see that God's structure exposes those two verses for fabrications. And that when God says He controls all things, He controls all things. Okay, this is today all I can show you because we don't have much more time. I have to repack some of my package and then we'll have to go to the airport.
MashaAllah, God bless you.
But this is one of the signs. This is just very tiny portion of the numbers I told you appear in my head and I can follow the trail. But you can spend as much time as you want with mathematical tables and you will not be able to duplicate these patterns. And I will not be able to do it on my own. Okay, so I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Daddy.
Yes, ma'am. You have a question?
No.
If